Hello everyone, I'm Bishi, and today we're playing more Ace Attorney, more Great Ace Attorney. We are in episode 4 still, and playing as Ruuuvo in the 1800s, and I would say maybe we're like halfway through the case, something like that. But yeah, I actually don't have my notes open for this game. Give me a second. I have to take notes when I play Ace Attorney. It's that complicated. Okay, there we go. My intensive, detailed notes that I absolutely need to survive playing this. I think we should go ahead and get started. I think we should jump into some Ace Attorney. Time for voice acting. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see. I think last time we got to talk to all of the jurors, and we pit them against each other. And now we're gonna have, I think, two new witnesses that we haven't seen before. The last things that I have written down here are just about the jurors. So I'll just read those out for myself as well. So we found out last time that he went to your books, not Bourbon Books, on Calaba Street. Juror number 5 was working on the roads near the crime on the day of the incident, and which might have prevented him from going a certain route, which is like the whole argument they were making. Meerschaum was blocked, and work went out until 6, which was after the crime. And then this guy was saying, oh, well, he could have just jumped over it. He's not exactly a gentleman. I'm like, okay, whatever. Juror number 6 was in your books when, what's his name? Natsume. When, Natsume visited, left just before 5, the juror was also wearing a green coat, which could have been the person Natsume saw in front of him in the fog. He actually slipped and knocked himself out, which could have been what, Natsume actually saw. He fell on the top corner of Calabash. Okay. So I just have stuff about the jurors. Okay. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. His voice really should just be Asterion. Yeah, there's these two. So I guess the one on the left is the cop that they were talking about, and then we don't know who she is. Oh my god. Constable Rowley beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir. Is he sleepy? Why is he so sleepy?
And I'm Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say I'm this young town hero's wife.
Okay, that's what I thought. I think earlier on they talked about how the witnesses were a cop and his wife. This wasn't really like what I was imagining when I thought of these characters, but alright. These two dorks, yeah, they seem like dorks already. That's it. Everyone is Asterion from Baldur's Gate 3 now. Yeah, Asterion Baldur's Gate. That's his last name. Oh boy. They're wearing matching scarves. What's the story here? Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day.
So they've been married a year. Okay. And he is sleeping? No. It was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honorable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world. Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually. Indeed. Apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. Patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check the meters check that meters are reading true, and they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our streetlights. There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all. I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet. I'd have collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. But the London Bobby is a man of honor. Well, he just looks like a sleepyhead. He looks like a silly little sleepyhead. And a man of slumber. On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction. He eepy! He is 100% eepy! Yes. They witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat?
That's right, sir. Isn't it Rolly?
He's getting his honk shoe mimimis in right now. He's getting his honk shoe mimimis. Oh my goodness. Alfred! Thanks so much for gifting a sub to Zoe. Zoe, you now have access to all of our sound effects and emotes and all that fun stuff. Let me get your star here. Rolly salutes you, Alfred. Thank you for gifting a sub.
Thank you.
Alright. I gotta move Jolene. She keeps almost falling. Oh, yeah! There you go. I'm back, baby. We are so back. Alright. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Here's your star, Zoe. I don't know. Is there room for more? Oh my goodness. I think there's a couple spots left. I think so. They're not jiggling as much, but I can still see air. See, there's a spot there, and I think maybe one there? Yeah, I think we could at least fit one or two more. But we're definitely getting there. It's happening soon. Very soon. I like this song. That's what I wish I would look like when EP, just a silly little guy. I'm a silly little guy when I'm sleepy all the time, but even I'm not as silly as this little guy. This game sets unrealistic standards of silly. Oh my god. Unrealistic silly standards.
Constable Rolly Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir.
They look like kids. They look so young. What a great witness he's gonna be. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident.
Yes, sir.
Oh my god. So seepy. So seepy-eepy. What the witnesses saw.
It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Rolly and I both saw him as clear as day.
But it was foggy. Clear as day, huh? Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say.
Oh dear. This policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed.
Not squashed. It's death knell, in fact. Because that alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate a chancing! A chancing! And on your wedding anniversary, too.
Oh, I know, but I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that.
What does quashed even mean? Like dashed? Like, words! Literally just one letter off of squashed. Yeah, I mean, like, squashed means, like, to squish something. Yeah, it means squashed. No, I mean, like, squashed and quashed are two different things. I mean, instead of just struggling. Quashed. Reject or void? Void is probably the best synonym. Put an end to suppress. Squash. Squash? Just curious. Flat, soft, or out of shape as a result of being crushed or squeezed with force. So squashed! Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny looking up definitions of, like, really simple words, like squash, you know? Just to see them, like, have to go around and not saying the actual word to define it. Silly. Yeah, quashed is to void, squash is to squish. Crush. But, like, to me, if they said squashed, I still would have understood what they were saying. Null, yeah, null, void, quash, yeah. But there are definitely a lot of words they use that I know them from context clues, I can understand what they're saying, but I'm like, I never see people say this word, ever. He looks like every chimney sweep you see in the old London movies, oh my god. Mary Poppins, Mary Poppins. English has too many words to say the same thing, I agree. I agree as a person that struggles with words. Ugh. This game said, behold, a silly lad. He's also eepy. Behold him. Yes. He has, like, little blushy cheeks and everything. The silly little guy is tired. He is eepy. The silly little guy has had a long day of being a silly little guy and wants to take a small sleep. He is eepy and needy to sleepy. Yeah. Exactly. So well put.
Gosh, the life of a London Bobby sounds very hard indeed.
Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon.
What do you mean by that?
My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was without doubt the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. And one of these witnesses is a policeman, no less, so you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure.
Well, maybe he was hallucinating from a lack of sleep.
I don't know. Except that the man is so tired, his wife has to do all the talking. Yeah. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please.
Yes, my lord.
What the witnesses saw. It was our wedding anniversary and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you say. Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. Beat?
Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply.
Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you?
I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down the ground, doesn't it, darling?
Oh god. Wake up!
Oh, I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there.
Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy.
No, it's Eepy. Oh no, Rolly. I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes.
Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy. No, not really. Finally adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct?
That's right, sir, yes. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. But policing is my life, sir. As long as I'm the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end.
What's that now?
My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to us all us policemen of our sworn duty.
Sorry, I don't speak British very well. It's a really difficult language to grasp.
Patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, and for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know that the plodding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure.
So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it then.
But sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beat put up with a lot of being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Look at her face!
Oh my god. I feel like they're gonna be lying about something or whatever. So I'm not gonna like them in the end, probably, but that's cute. That's cute. We'll see if they stay cute. I don't know. Yeah, she's got the sparkly anime eyes. Oh my god. Like, I want to say, oh, this is so me and Ruuuvo, but like, I feel like they are not good people. Because the witnesses always turn out to be something's wrong with them, so I don't want to compare that. Oh. Yeah, before they become terrible witnesses, good for them. Good for them for now. One's a cop, well. Yeah, okay. So not me and Ruuuvo, so... Oh god. He looks like a nutcracker soldier, yeah. His silly hat. Man. I don't know what these buttons say. They're not in British. They're not in British! They went through so much effort to make up this whole made-up language. I know. Yeah, they really did a lot of world building in this game. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care.
Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly! Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold.
If a little over the top, perhaps? Yeah, the PDA is off the charts. And then, kindly describe what happened next.
Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes.
That's right. They were coming towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. It was a rather plump figure, followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man.
Okay.
It does sound exactly like the victim, as pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume.
Yes, unfortunately it does. And you're certain that at that time, there was nobody else nearby?
Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling? Well, yes, that's right. Of course, there was a light fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. And then there's the street lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians.
Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer, please, Mr. Beat. Are you quite sure of what you've just said?
Yes, sir. As a copper who spends all day every day keeping watch on the streets, I'd swear to it, sir. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly.
They are dorks. They're still maintaining there was no one else around, other than the victim and the attacker. It's starting to seem like that must be how it really happened.
It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run.
Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed? Star-crossed lovers. All cops are sleepy? Oh god. Their nicknames may as well be their Animal Crossing catchphrases. Oh yes! Oh my god. Y'all are cracking me up today. Okay. One of them collapsed on the floor and the other scattered something and ran off. Scattered something? What do you mean by that? Probably the books?
Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling? What? Yes, that's right. It was some old books.
I see. Old books.
Yes, sir. The culprit had dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement.
Indeed, it's clearly pictured in this photographic print.
That rotten Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it!
Let's not forget that it remains to be established the defendant was indeed the attacker.
But we saw him. It was the man in the dock, without question, sir.
Okay, sleepy man. The mustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose. Everything. Any more insults you want to throw in? Yeah, any more? Any more? You want to throw anything else in there to make me say on stream? Jesus fucking Christ. All the British characters are just terrible. Like, they're all so terrible. Oh, yeah, go on. Yeah, you want to dig a deeper hole? Here's the shovel. I don't know what you said, Bishi, but you got my Amazon Echo to give me a compliment. Oh, you're welcome. Put a spell on it, yeah.
That's right. He looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes, and then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away.
I see. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Yeah, we got that. Now please, continue.
Yes, sir.
We ran straight over and then went for help at a nearby police box.
Hold it!
Was it your husband who went to fetch help?
No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of one after all. Isn't that right, my darling? What? Oh, yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. Beat to go. I was off duty by that point. But a Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene.
Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance.
That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box.
Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box?
Depends on a crime scene's location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat the incident fell under so she could go and report it. I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There is nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know?
And thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two model citizens.
Oh, please. You're making us blush. Isn't he, darling?
Yes, sir. What Patricia said, sir. Whatever my wife said. Let's move on, shall we? Okay. It was definitely that man in the dock. Rolly and I saw him clear as day. That might be what I can respond to. But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you?
We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know.
Right.
The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he?
Yes, and what of the fog? We're famous for it across the globe, I believe, but it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course.
Oh, it is. When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm.
Yes, alright. I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about?
The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling? What? Yes. It was the accused and no mistake. The mustache, the hunched back, the cat-like eyes.
Yeah, they're just saying the same things.
Unmistakable, sir.
As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Soseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. Okay. So it's 100% they saw Soseki. But we have to prove that he didn't stab or hurt the person. Okay. They definitely saw Natsume. But they didn't say that they saw him hurt anyone. They just said that they saw him run away and drop his books. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony?
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they say they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Briar Road that day.
Yes, I feel the same.
So if that's true, where does it leave us? The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony. No, then what do we do? Kazuma-sama were here. What are you trying to say?
I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony.
What do you mean, somewhere else?
Their statement about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them, make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate.
Oh, right.
Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavorable conclusion.
Why do I always seem to be so up against it? Because that's why there's a video game.
Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something?
Oh. Yes, of course. What is it?
Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... It seems like you don't believe our testimony. Is that right? Is it? Well, out with it.
Ma'am? What? No. No, it's really not that at all.
My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail. Everything. Like... Oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped? I could tell you the names of every single one I could. Every single one. And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is.
Kinda cute, but also weird. I feel like it's, it's almost like people who force being cute. You know what I mean? That's what I get from her. That's the vibes I'm getting, is she's like,
well, do you not believe me? I swear I'm really nice. I'm a really good person. You should believe me. Like,
that's what I'm getting from her. Military wife vibes, yeah. Oh, God. Just because, like, they're kind of antagonistic to us, right? Because they're in the way of us achieving the end goal of the game, which is finding them, Natsume innocent, you know? You're dismissed, witness. Get some sleep. Oh, are they wearing the same scarf? Oh, I thought it was matching scarves. It's just one really long scarf? Really? 2 peas in a pod. Oh my god.
It won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of.
What is that supposed to mean?
Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a minute that Roly will.
I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please put your husband's fists down. Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Mrs. Beat. Might that appease you?
Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling?
He's just asleep through all of that.
I could even tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped at the scene.
Hold it!
Yes, we know that there were books dropped at the scene of the crime, as you say. Those purchased by the accused at the nearby second-hand bookshop on the day in question.
After I'd been to the police box for help, I decided to have a good look over the area for good measure. I'm a proud policeman's wife, after all. I did it for Rowley.
And what was your husband doing at the time?
Oh, he was lying face down in the snow, getting some well-deserved rest. He works ever so hard.
You know what? I just comprehended what she said. I just comprehend. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just read what they say and I don't comprehend what they say. He was just face down in the snow with a like potentially dead person next to him. Oh my god! Imagine if they were actually dead this time. He hasn't had a day off work in years. Yeah, busy getting frostbite. I guess so. Nice cozy snow nap.
He works ever so hard, you know, ever so hard, don't you, my darling?
Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime. Well, Mrs. Beat, seeing as you've regaled the court with your tales of powers of recollection, would you be so kind as to recount the titles of the books you observed at the scene?
I'd be happy to. Now, are you all listening? There was The Picture of Monsieur Somebody or Other, and What's It, Yearnings?
Okay, let me look at this. Okay, the Picture of Monsieur, Canterbury Yearnings. Okay.
Then there was, A Meal for Someone, and the last one was definitely The Thingummy Something.
Okay. A Meal for Gaborawi. And then she said one that's not on here. Uncanny accuracy. Uncanny. Totally trustworthy. The Thingumby something? Yeah, she said 4 books, so there's only 3. So maybe that will be the discrepancy? It's like she's there right now!
You see?
Yes, I see there are 1 or 2 holes in your memory.
Oh well, they were along those lines, I'm quite sure.
There were indeed books found at the scene with titles along those lines, as you put it.
Well, what did I tell you? So I think it's very mean the way you've been implying that my testimony can't be trusted. Don't you agree, darling?
Anyone who upsets my Patricia will have me to answer to! He just pulled a gun out in court! What the fuck? Put the gun away! And he's half awake right now! Put it away! I'm scared. What the fuck? Jesus, he's a cop, yes! Put it away! Terrifying. Yes, she really is. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony.
What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, yeah. We've seen this already. Why does he have a weapon in the court? Why did they let a parrot testify in court? Ace Attorney logic. Okay. It was our wedding anniversary. Willie was taking me out for a meal. No time to change. Two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. One of them collapsed and the other scattered something. We ran straight over and then went for help at a nearby bar. Okay, maybe the timing could be inaccurate. Young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound to the back. Reporting officer Rolly beat. Victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details unknown. Apart from single stab wound, no other signs of injury. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was arrested the following day. Okay. There's no times to really say anything. Yeah, is there anything about this knife we should look at? I don't think we've examined it yet. I think we're just opening and closing it. So we're not going to say anything about it? Okay. I guess the only discrepancy we have is that she named like a fourth book that's not there. It was definitely that man in the dock. Rolly and I both saw him as clear as day. I could even tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped at the scene. So this is what she's wrong about. I don't see anything else, so let me try the book receipt. And say, hey, you said an extra one. Why is that? Okay. Technically, I think there was a real-life case where Parrot's testimony was used. Oh, yes, I think we did talk about that. Okay, that's the one thing that's believable. This is the same series where Francesca pulled out a whip and hit people with it in a courtroom. There you go. That's a better comparison. I don't even think Victorian police had firearms, just nightsticks, huh? That is weird. I wonder why they gave him a gun. All right. Present.
Objection.
I think that's it. So, you're saying that there were 4 books? Yeah, okay. That's the contradiction.
That's right. I remember all of them. The picture of Monsieur Somebody, What's It Yearnings, A Meal for Someone, and the thing got me something.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours.
Oh no. What flaw?
Simply that, at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4.
What?
This is the receipt from the bookshop where the defendant bought his books.
Your books?
Yes, and it details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed.
Only 3? But no, that can't be. I remember seeing them. There were 4 books, I tell you, 4 dirty old books.
Oh, really? Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. Oh, I probably could have shown the picture, too. As you can clearly see from this evidence as well, there are only 3 books.
But I just don't believe it. I saw them there. I swear it. I saw them.
No, madam. I'm afraid your powers of observation cannot be relied upon. So it cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken.
Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no! No! Oh no! Oh no!
It's plainly evident that it is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that these two witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving. So you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? Ugh, he sees right through me. But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you. What are you talking about? It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast. To the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony, in every aspect.
Oh!
You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Quite right. Only 3 can be seen in that print. That print? You mean to say... Allow me to present another. One that shows the victim's hand. Oh. So that was her book then, is the 4th one. Someone take a bite out of it? Someone was hungry for knowledge! I think it's actually burned or something, but part of it is missing. I don't believe it. It's the 4th book. As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. No.
No!
Order, order!
There, you see? Look at that! Look!
Yes.
It's just like I said, isn't it, my darling?
Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir. Let us study the receipt for the books purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please.
Oh, yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur somebody or other.
The picture of Monsieur, yeah.
What's it, yearnings?
Canterbury yearnings.
A meal for someone.
A meal for Gabriel. In fact, Gabriel. Gabriel! As the court has just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. Beat powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional.
Did you hear that, Rowley? The gentleman paid me a compliment.
Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Mrs. Beat mentioned 4. There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly, the 4th book is that which is shown in this photographic print. I'm sorry, counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. It's probably her book. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book? I wonder what became of that 4th book. Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here as evidence. You will submit that and the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, counsel. My pleasure, my lord. The second crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record. The second photograph of the scene, taken by a policeman just after the incident, specifically shows the victim's hand. The 4th book has been added into the court record, a book entitled The Lion's Pride, discovered in the victim's hand at the scene. Surprise evidence! There's always surprise evidence! The prosecution rests. While you rest, I'm gonna look at these new evidence. Yeah, it's weird, because, like, there's a part of it missing here, like it's been burned. I don't see how else it could have been like that. This isn't the same book! Oh, it is. Never mind. I was gonna be like, oh, it's not damaged! No, it's right here. But that is interesting.
Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burnt.
You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages.
What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently.
Look. Recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? Well, the people upstairs had a small fire. So, They might have a connection somehow. Okay, freezer burn. It's the opposite of freezer burn. Let me write this down in my notes. Okay. So the victim had a book in her hand. And it's about lions! Oh, this is that guy's book. Let's see, might belong to the old veteran. Stairs. Fourth book's information has been updated. The back cover is badly burnt.
Let me see. It's a book entitled The Lion's Pride. I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all.
So it wouldn't be something I've heard. Wait a minute.
The Lion's Pride? That's strange.
I think I have heard of a book by that name before, and very recently too.
The title I recognize too, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yeah, because it's that guy's book. And it said that he lost a treasure. Like his favorite book or something. I think this is what this is. Okay, interesting. Why would the victim have that? Okay. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend. But your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. The spurious longer route, the accused's lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination. Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I?
You see, everything we've said is true. Isn't that right, my darling?
Yes, Pat! Marry me, Pat! So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions, should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty. Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You have heard all of the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course.
Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we are in a terribly precarious position.
No, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Ooh. Okay. Scary. Think for you, think. What do you do now? Raise an objection, wait and see. He said if I do anything else, I'll make it worse. What did he say exactly? I love that we have a history button now. If I fight back in the wrong way... Objection?
Objection!
I'm not done yet. No, my learned friend, it's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. There is no more room for debate. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... Ugh, I can't think of what to say. I think we should call a new witness.
If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point.
Your insignificant little eastern isle must be a lawless hole indeed. Oh my god. For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. Oh. And she was so polite about it. Don't talk to her like that! I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you will have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable. Thank you!
Mr. Naruhodo.
One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance, so the court will hear you, madam. Go ahead, Miss Usato, please. Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further?
Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished.
I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you?
Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their learnings in a moment. Or leanings. And of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why. So we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible.
Yes, I understand. And thank you, Miss Usato. This is it. Usato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. I can't let it go to waste. Defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. Oh, God. Very well. Defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case and has hitherto been overlooked. Hitherto. I hate this word. Okay. Probably the book, right? It's badly burned. I'm gonna say the book.
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book, found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
We have already discussed the fourth book at length. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. I gotta get a new prescription, I swear to God. I can see the text fine, but my brain is deleting words out of the sentence. Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you well know. Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. Please stop using this word. I hate this word. But I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear? Well, it's the fire, right? The burn mark? Yes, my lord. It's,
Mr. Naruhodo, I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence, which means you may very well be on the right track.
Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case, which this fourth book conceals? It's on the back! The burn marks!
Got it!
Got it! I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The back? What do you... Good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp! So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing. Yeah, it is one long scarf, look!
Objection!
Oh my god. Unnatural, you say? And what of it, my Nipponese friend? Oh. Were I to concede the point, if it bears no relation to the case, there is nothing to discuss. So, should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day? Pray, do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide? Charred book. There is just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, Council. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you can ascertain from the fire damage the sorry Tom has suffered? Ooh. The shop that sold it, its owner, its content. I think it's owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth about the book's owner. I beg your pardon?
But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell to the floor, after all. It's obviously hers.
The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the questions of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how can you possibly? Very well. I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book?
Oh, that would be Mr. John Garrideb.
Take that!
The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb. The landlords. And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garrideb herself.
Oh my goodness, me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Garrideb's wife. I'm his maid.
With the wedding ring. Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garrideb's house?
I would never presume to know all of the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused's landlady, you say. You implicate this hard-working member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's house. Good Lord, what sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite, a book called The Lion's Pride. Yes. Okay, that was his favorite book. Oh, his face! The Lion's Pride. By Jove! The very same title that's the subject of this debate.
Oh dear me!
Objection!
This is risible. All you've told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire, in which case it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garrideb was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garrideb even amid the flames.
Oh, how awful! I can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love, can you, Rowley?
Absolutely not, sir! My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir! Risible! These British words aren't making any sense! And all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh! Up in smoke. And the wife started hurling things at me. There was I, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. I'm starting to formulate a theory on what happened. So maybe as this woman is walking down the street in front of their place and the wife is throwing stuff at him, he's in front of the window, and so maybe she threw a book out the window, the woman bends over, picks it up, and then maybe she threw a frickin' knife out the window, throwing it at the husband, and the knife hits the poor lady on the street. I don't know! I'm starting to think that might have been what happened now. He had burning books thrown at him, with his back up against the window. Goodness gracious. Are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
I don't know if it was coincidentally. That's some bad luck. It would be some bad luck, but... We'll see. At the very least, I think that's how the book ended up there. No. Thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident. There was no report of the Garrideb's window pane being broken. Okay. That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garrideb's household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time? Ah! Right. So window might have been open. Mrs. Garrideb threw the book at her husband, missed, and went out the window. And then maybe that's how the knife stabbed the lady. That's just my game theory. Okay. Not even remotely possible. Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. Well, if there's a fire, they might have opened the window to try to get the fire out. I don't know. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter. Does the defense postulate the scenario in all seriousness, counsel? Do you earnestly claim that the book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Garrideb's wife? I believe it's a possibility, my lord. That's quite enough. Oh, who said that?
Oh! That's quite enough! Well, I hope that everyone can see you for what you are now, you little foreign trickster. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward, a mean coward.
Really?
Claiming that our little tip set the whole neighborhood alight, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case, not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name.
No, I assure you that was never my intention.
Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defense. I should box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable. Did you just hit the guy next to you? What's wrong with you?
Too right. Here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nipponese spouting out his fancy foreign theories? But, think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the mustache, and he ran away from the scene too.
I do declare you're right.
It's true.
Yes, what did I tell you?
Makes sense to me. Sorry, what's that? Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Zeeks? In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage. No, wait! The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been... Ah! If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time. I have leg for days. What? No. Forgive the discourtesy this time? In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
He's just going along with it. The old man doesn't know where he is. Hey Anna, welcome. I wish I was the wine in Van Zeke's glass. Oh, I'm sorry. Van Sex glass is what you typed. Oh my god. Old man just vibing. He doesn't know where he is. He's just like, oh, everyone's pounding on the desk. I guess I'll do that too. I know what I typed. I know you know that I know what you typed. Oh, leg for days. Leg for days. Thank you for that unambiguous response. That's twice now. It's over. Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up. Mrs. Sato? Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet. You're not suggesting... Of course. The defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. You could still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance. My lord, the defense asks to exercise its right to a summation examination. You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve. I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. This is no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. I know that you know that I know. I know that Bishi knows that Anna knows what Anna typed. To be continued right now. We're not even halfway through the stream. Save. Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good so far. Haven't gotten stuck on anything quite yet. Hey, Jake, welcome. Howdy. I went to a local con because my cousin was selling there, and it was so fun. I bought an original Gundam figure that glows on the inside and found an artist I recognized from Twitter and bought some prints. Oh, nice! I'm glad you had a wonderful time at a convention. Conventions are so fun. Me and Ruuuvo might try to go to another one this year, but I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I don't know, but they are a good time. All right, let's keep going. Continue into the next summation examination consultation. I have considered the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury. Words. I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman. We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Judicial findings! The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. Okay. The 3 books. If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. I do have that in my head, but I don't know if I can prove it. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed. Deary me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. What about a pocket knife? I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. Okay. Okay, juror number 6. Juror number 6 needs some applesauce. Silly little old man. Yeah, after Anime Expo, I feel like I can handle any crowd. Yeah, like I've said before, it was like a trial by fire going to Expo as the first time. Okay, juror number 6, let's get you to bed. Yeah. How goes Ace Attorney? Pretty good. We're making some steady progress. I basically am going to be playing this game all the time now. Until the next game comes out that I want to stream, which I think is going to be the Pokemon DLC in a few weeks here. I think September 13th we were talking about earlier. So just Ace Attorney all the time, baby! All Ace Attorney. But I'm worried that my voice won't hold out because of all the voice acting. Like, it's sore right now, and we're not even halfway. We're about to be halfway through the stream. Like, oh god. Maybe like shorter streams? I don't know. Juror number 6 needs his grandkids to pick him up. Yep. Fishy, but Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, I want to play Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know if I'll stream Baldur's Gate 3. But I do want to play it. But I also need to finish Pikmin. And then I still haven't finished Zelda either. Oh. And now I'm obsessed with Palia. But I do want to play Baldur's Gate on my console. I need someone to get me to bed too. Oh my god. Whose grandpa got lost in the jury. Yeah, he just kind of showed up. Just shuffled along and they ushered him into the jury. Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. One notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, it could have been a scene from far away, or a crime from far away. Though if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means, I'm afraid, that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman, and how? Those two details are all you need to provide. Well, I have my theory. I think that's the only thing possible. Not why, how. Okay. Who and how. Oh yeah, the Gaiden trailer, oh my god. Oh my god! We were talking about it a little bit before I started playing today. Woo! I'm excited. I'm excited for November! Playing dress up with Kiryu. Oh my god, and he looks so good in the suit. He looks so good in the suit. All these jokes are reminding me of that. Oh my god. There's a new Gaiden trailer. Yeah, it came out like last Friday. But I haven't streamed since last Thursday, so we just haven't really had a chance to talk about it on stream. But yeah, there's a new trailer from last Friday, Sega release, that has more gameplay, more cutscenes. Apparently, you'll be able to play a demo of Yakuza 8 when you finish Gaiden, I think. And there'll be cutscenes that aren't in the final game of Yakuza 8, so very worth it to play that demo. But yeah, they show a lot. They show a lot from Gaiden, so if you're the type of person that wants to wait to be surprised, I would definitely, like, avoid it, but I'm okay looking at it. There's some stuff that I was like, I kind of wish they didn't show it in the trailer and they just saved it for when you play it, but alright. Yeah, very exciting! Alright, who stabbed her and how? Those two details are all you need. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. Okay, so a name and a method. Those are the two things we need. And there I was thinking this might be hard.
But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure, then. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, Counsel.
Yes, my lord.
Alright, Ryu, focus your mind. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. Or should I say, Mrs. Garrideb.
We have a book that disappeared from the Garrideb's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand.
There must be a way to link the two. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes.
Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garrideb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say.
Ooh. Ooh. Jury examination, summation. Defense's rebuttal. Alright. Book that disappeared from Garrideb's home is the same as in the victim's hand. We need to prove that. Yeah. Or need to prove a connection. Oh, I didn't hear about that, Arkham. The only thing I knew from Gamescom was the Little Nightmares 3 announcement. That's all I saw, but man. I don't know what's going on.
The posture of a perfectly focused mind, yes. Very focused, ooh-woo.
Okay. The 3 books. Alright. I guess let's press everybody.
Hold it!
That helps. As we now know, there were 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make? There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said. That's not exactly how I put it, no. Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened. I mean, they were right next to them in their house.
I think that's what you call a strong alibi.
So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver is about. A done deal, isn't it? I suppose it is, since I've nothing witty left to say. Little Nightmares caught me totally by surprise. I was not expecting another one. Yeah, I was very surprised by that too, but it's a welcome surprise, even though it's made by a different developer now. I definitely want to play it whenever it comes out. I don't know if they said when they were going to release it, or if it was just like, we're working on this, it'll come out later. I don't remember if anybody said earlier. If there was an alternative explanation about how she was stabbed, I might reconsider.
Hold it!
So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean?
Oh my, such delight on your face, but I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I am a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman.
That's great. Good for you.
If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say?
And not at all extreme.
As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. But despite 1 or 2 minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say?
Overwhelmingly.
But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you could come up with one.
I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could.
Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady.
Right. Glad you omitted rational there. And mostly Gamescom was updates on existing games, right? Alan Wake 2 continues to look so good. It does look amazing. Need to play the first one still. Oh yeah, I think that you should play the first one before you play the sequel. Just playing the first one, I feel like 2 is going to be very, very much, like, building off of that. I'll play anything Remedy does. Control is an all-time favorite of mine. I've never played Control. I think I actually have it. I think I got it for free during, like, a promotional time or something. But I never got around to actually playing it. I've heard it's really difficult. That's like the only thing I know about it, is it's actually kind of hard. Yeah, I haven't tried it, but I really loved Alan Wake. I did stream that when the remake came out, remaster, and I really want to play the second one. I liked it. Alan Wake will finally get to Alan Sleep, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. All right, even if the one was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed.
Hold it!
What about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be so sure?
Prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see?
But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you?
It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it.
Then what's the point in even having windows, huh? Counsel, you kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show that there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. I wonder if we have something. I don't think so. Because we don't even have like a picture of their house or anything. Alright. It was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. What a weird thing to say. But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not?
With flames of love, I'll have you know.
There's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. What does she keep doing?
Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree?
Oh, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garrideb. Stop messing with him!
Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. And I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime.
Okay. Right. Well, we'll see about that. But what about juror number 5? Yeah, why does she keep smacking him? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Mrs. Garrideb's relentless onslaughts. It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is. What the heck? I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay, I'll be in a tidy bit of trouble.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. Thames? I know y'all told me how to say this before. It's gonna be Thames. What? You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. Another shining example of marital bliss. A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, Do you know? It's funny, but I can't quite remember. Sorry? It was too frightening, that's the thing. I must have blocked it out. Oh yeah, it's Thames, isn't it? I literally said it last time, it's like Temmie. Ugh. Oh. I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Mrs. Sato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Oh. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago and it gave me the sneezes. Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Of course not. It was an angel cake, to celebrate my birthday, obviously.
It seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo.
Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke. Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold, but how did you catch a cold from a fire? From the smoke. What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it. See, when you have a fire, you open the window! The windows. Biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along, but something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. Of course.
We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it.
Yes, but once again the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection might do the trick. Okay. Let's see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike.
That's the spirit.
Okay. Window was closed. Okay, we're gonna pit you against the old man. Isn't she supposed to have, like, a reaction? I guess we'll just do this. Okay. He's pushing 80. Let the man go home. He doesn't even know why he's here. Somebody help him.
Objection!
Alright. These two jurors' statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel?
Don't point at me again. I told you it wasn't me.
What's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up. Juror number 3. Do you see?
Oh, me? See what, sir?
Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the...
Oh!
Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garrideb household, and Mr. Garrideb had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke. Oh, my hat! Oh! What do I do? Pursue.
Excuse me!
Juror number 4. Do you have something to say about that? Look at all the tea! Mrs. Garrideb.
Oh, dearie me! What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am?
It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now.
What is it?
When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window?
I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating?
The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window.
And what if we did? Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering.
Even though your house was on fire?
Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It'd be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise.
Toxic! Of course. I should have realized.
That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garrideb's formal statement.
She was slurping. Stress tea drinking.
Now that you mention it, yes, the window was open at the time. I'd clean forgotten, but it's true.
Hold it!
The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garrideb told us he had been reading.
Well, I really couldn't say.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband a copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading?
I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right.
Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
Oh my god, because I couldn't, you insolent little man, I didn't remember! At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on as well, you know.
I really don't.
I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
Oh! Pursue, yeah. The greatest and absolute healthiest, totally not harmful, anger outlet, violence.
Excuse me.
Just throwing things at her husband. What is it, juror number 5? You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I blocked out. We all need therapy. It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back. Oh.
Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garrideb or the maid, I'll have you know. I'm one or the other, choose!
The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. Oh. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. Put my hand in my pocket for the wages I'd just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight, I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Stuck into the wall next to me, it did, about an inch deep. No words, just terror. Could smell it then, you know, that god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
No, I wasn't thinking that.
Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like.
What? Attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words would be rather significant, I think.
Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare. I mean, she did, like, suplex you or whatever. Okay, she will hurl almost anything at you. The kitchen knife really brought that home to me. Well, I think I need to repit, yeah, because this one still thinks that they're guilty. So I think we need to do this again. Right? So we can get them to say...
Objection!
Not guilty first. Let's follow this through all the way. I'm sorry, but as foreman of the jury, I have to object. That's complete nonsense. What? I'm a banker, don't forget. An educated man, and there's no contradiction as far as I can see. Oh, between the old man? Or did I say that... Not permit a whimsical attack against the good members. Oh, I don't even know what if I did the right thing. Okay, hold on. Did I save recently? It's fine. It's just one. It's just one. Okay. There was nothing whimsical about it.
It's very important to listen carefully to every juror.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I did the wrong thing. Let me just save again, so... Actually, we'll do it here. Okay, let me try it again. I don't know if I clicked the wrong person. I'm pretty sure I did the old man. Okay, let me see. Okay, so it's just like, I did that for the purpose of getting the lady to say something, not necessarily to get them to think innocent. Okay. Then let's just pretend that didn't happen. Okay. The window was open at the time. Oh, okay, so now we want to put these two. Right? Oh, have I been pitting the banker with someone else? I don't even know anymore. No, yeah, we pit him with her. Yeah. I'm so confused. Is this it?
Hold it.
Maybe now they're agreeing? I'm sorry. I can't think anymore. Okay. This is bordering on Chicago, the musical territory, with the amount of wives who try to kill their husbands. Alright, the window was open. A novel alternative. So probably 2 with 5? Winter house fires or die. You have to open windows to clear the smoke. That's when the chill gets you. I guess let's try her against him.
Objection.
Yeah. These two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection. Good grief. You mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once. Juror number 2. Do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative?
Oh my, whatever do you mean?
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garrideb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garrideb household to the street below. Eh? What's that now? After all, Mrs. Garrideb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole?
I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Now you listen here, you Eastern Galah. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it? I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Garrideb household to the scene of the crime was the knife.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garrideb.
What? What now?
I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before?
Ah.
Good Lord, counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man. Well... My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrideb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that. The book was found in the victim's grasp.
Are you saying that it flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand?
Oh, even my missus hasn't got a name like that. Yes, I admit, there are many details we don't yet understand. But that's the point. That's precisely why We must not allow this trial to end. Not right now.
Oh my.
Ah! Mrs. Garrideb, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before, or not?
Oh,
Oh, she fainted. Did that man call you a parakeet? I would rather he call me a parakeet. My lord!
I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all.
Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman? I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny didn't mind.
Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either.
All together now, ladies and gents. Yup. Yup. I wonder if we'll get another day of investigation or something. We did it.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo.
So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue. All right. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? More wine! More wine in your goblet! This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. Always into the frickin' lamps, but what follows is so repugnant. It's good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond, but let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garrideb household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means the distance from the Garrideb's house to the scene is some, yes, 15 yards, okay? Window was open. Let's see, between the Garrideb house and crime scene, I guess it's 15 yards. Which is a ways, yes.
Let me see. 15 yards. That's around 14 meters.
14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. And, as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. Yeah, but I think that she picked it up before she was stabbed. In other words, the smoldering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. No. That is not what I think. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Yeah, like severely bad luck. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. To the window, to the wall. To the books flying through the window. There's nothing I can say to that. That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. Mr. Sato.
Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he?
Maybe let's pick our battles here.
My lord, might I be allowed to speak?
As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead.
The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible.
Shoot him with an arrow, Susato! Yes. Do it!
That end... Juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrideb, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination.
Saints alive! Cross-examination of a juror? I mean, out of everybody, she has a direct connection to this. Order! Order! Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
And unnecessary. Lord Van Zeeks? There are already witnesses on the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. And we must assume that they would be able to testify accordingly. What say you, witnesses?
Yes, sir! Constable Rowley Beat reporting for duty, sir.
Well, good morning, officer.
Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Oh, they are so heroic, these London bobbies. Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more. Oh, Rowley, my hero, you make me swoon.
Very well. I hereby reject the defense's request. Well, and order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. State forthwith, before the court, any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events.
Yes, sir.
So is he fully awake now? No, he's still sleepy. He's still eepy. Constable Beats report.
This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. How do you know?
Anyway, what I know is I need to take a quick 5-minute break. And when I get back, we will continue cross-examining Rowley and his wife. In the meantime, feel free to go get yourself a drink or a snack or whatever. I'll be back in 5 minutes or less. And then we'll play some more Ace Attorney. BRB! Alright, I have returned. How many quotes? Oh god. Some of these quotes. Alright. I think somebody did a poot while I was gone. I didn't hear it. If I didn't hear it, did it really happen? Alright, back to this. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word.
You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garrideb house are top-hinged casements.
Oh, hold on. This might be important information. Okay. Garrideb house windows. Up-hinged casements. Please explain!
Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rowley was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
He was face down in the frickin' snow. What are you talking about, lady? What are you talking about? He was face down in the snow. Welcome back. Thank you. I'm not face down in the snow. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir.
But you're lying!
Well, this is quite startling. Top-hinged casement windows. That detail was not in the police report, Constable.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy.
You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable.
No, sir.
Sorry, but what exactly is a top-hinged casement window? And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Of course. Sorry.
Found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's room.
Right, I'll try.
So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house.
Oh.
But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge.
Oh. So window opens diagonally down is how I would describe that. And just the top half. Interesting. The trusty Rolly in question. Yeah, he was like sleeping. Reckon has a little sleep as a treat. A little sleepy, please, for the EP. Things open along the upper edge. I wonder if they both open like that. I'm glad you've rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. Stay that stops it from opening too much. It prevents it opening? This is all news to me.
Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below.
No. Yeah, I don't know what to do now. You see the problem then? Good. Your education in windows is complete. There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered, something we've discounted already. Couldn't they have replaced it? But that can't be! Okay, so unless the window shattered and then was replaced. That's the only way.
Did you see that, Roly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony.
Oh yes, my darling. I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh,
Oh, Roly, you're so strong.
I hate this. I hate it. How is this happening? This poor Ryu. I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination. Oh god. I feel like him internally right now. My lord. Oh good. Another desperate situation. Alright.
This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb. Believe me, a London bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garrideb house are top-hinged casements.
Okay, wait, so we've already read this. Alright, so we're gonna do cross... well, pressing. We're pressing now. Okay.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain?
A very good question, sir.
Okay.
And the answer is this. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder for us all policemen of our sworn duty.
He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? Can't say I remember.
Patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. It's what the job's all about. And that is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you a Bobby's good for his work. While rubbing my tired eyes admittedly, sir. Oh, Rowley, you're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rowley.
No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb?
Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir.
Yes, well, so could you answer the question? It was a waste of time then.
Absolutely, sir. I will answer it to the fullest of my ability, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing.
Yes?
I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard.
Oh, brother!
So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles.
I wasn't planning on going back just yet. Yeah, this is me right now. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived. Oh my god. You hate these two? At first I was like, oh, they're kind of cute. And then now I'm like, getting a little annoying. Little annoying. Hey, PC Man, welcome in. Welcome to EP Guy and Totally Not Mean Girl Show. Yeah.
So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears.
Thank you. I'll try. Okay, so now we have the warrant card. A small folding wallet that identifies London bobbies and contains the rules of conduct to which they must adhere. Ooh. Let's look at it. Principles of policing. A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Metropolitan police regulations. Oh. Okay. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Okay. So there might be something here that's contradictory to what he did. I would think particularly this card, because he did talk about that. Apparently the crime happened on someone else's patrol, like someone else's beat, and so the wife went to go call the cop that would be in charge of the beat, so... yeah, Okay. I don't see anything quite yet, but I'll try to keep it in mind. Okay, so we've already pressed on this, so now we can press on this part. They're still dorks, so I can't truly dislike them. Totally competent EP Guy, yeah. These are generally some of the most untrustworthy jurors, oh my god. I was pretty suspicious of the banker. I still think that he might have been guilty of the crime, but I don't think we ever really figured out who was guilty. The windows on the top floor are top hinged.
Hold it!
By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct?
Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted as to how much they open.
And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map, okay? Here is the location where objects would have fallen. Right? Yes. Directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road. Directly opposite. Okay. I mean, that's... I don't know. It's still something, I feel like. Okay, so objects thrown from the window would land directly opposite the crime scene. I mean, yeah, never mind. I was about to say something, but I was like, I don't think that's possible. Hey, Maji, welcome in. Howdy. Playing some Ace Attorney at the moment. Alright, read that. Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinged casement thing before? That's so difficult. Well, I have another question for you, Constable.
And what would that be, sir?
How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's house is furnished with? I was kind of thinking this.
Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Oh. She has something to say about that. Okay.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mrs. Beat?
Sorry?
You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that?
Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rowley's beat. It was so close, you see.
Oh, I hadn't realized.
Oh yes, that street, Briar Road, that's the boundary between Rowley's beat and the next one.
You know what I think? I wonder if they came upon the scene of the crime, and then if she was on the other side of the road, it would have been his responsibility, and they were like, it's our wedding anniversary, we can't have you doing this crime investigation on our anniversary, and they like drag the body across the street. So it's in someone else's beat. I am so suspicious right now. I am so suspicious they did something like that. Oh my god. That would be so terrible. Don't tell me anything, but oh my god. Yeah, so Briar Road is the boundary between cop's beat and another cop. And I'm gonna say maybe they moved the body so he wouldn't have to have the crime in his beat. Alright, that's just my theory. My game theory!
That street, Briar Road, that's the boundary between Rowley's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love?
Constable Beat. Oh my god.
Yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Garrideb household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see, sir.
Oh. That really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garrideb household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well? Outside Mr. Garrideb's house? Yes, ma'am. Pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat.
Uh-huh. Interesting. I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners. I swear to God if he moved the body.
You know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rowley for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling?
That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. Unless she moved it while he was asleep and messed with the body so that they could go to their dinner. And he's just like a cop doing his job. And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess it must have been over here. I don't know. I think perhaps we should make sure we have that information officially on record.
Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately.
Okay, case files information has been updated. The pavement where the victim was found lies just outside Constable Beat's beat, the border of which runs down the middle of Briar Road. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. I don't trust that Patricia as far as I can throw the girl. And since she's fictional, that's no distance at all. Yeah. That's a good one.
And now it's my turn, I think.
Okay. Wait. Yeah, they're top hinged, and then if anything had been thrown, we would have seen it.
Hold it!
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, but Rolly and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star.
Sorry?
The star that will guide us to eternal happiness.
Can it guide you to answer the question? If a flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star.
And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Rolly be an inspector, I would have said, 3 times at least.
Oh my god, he's doing the Owo!
Of course, what with the smoke and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars.
He's doing it. He's doing it. If you got an emote like this, you gotta use it right now. We do have one. Our Majima emote. You hate them? No laughing challenge! Oh my god. Not this again. Stop hating my Uwu boy. Never. Okay, how long is it? 5 minutes? I think it's 5 minutes. I haven't done it too much, so I'm trying to remember. No laughing. Yeah. Alright, 5 minutes, starting now. I can't laugh for 5 minutes. Y'all are... Alright.
Of course, what with the smoke and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars.
5 minutes of Uwu voice 2. Wow. Wow. Okay. I'll just lump them all together. One timer for both. I'm gonna have to try really hard not to laugh doing Uwu voice for everybody.
In short, are you trying to say...
It just... How do I combine these voices? How do I do this?
In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you? Yes, sir, that's correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir.
It certainly seems like they're telling the truth.
And then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rowie was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
Hold it!
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer. Is that right? That's right, yes. If it had been on Rowley's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat. No, Rowley told me the way. Only I sort of got a little lost on the way. Patricia.
I'm laughing. I can't. I tried to hold it and I couldn't hold it in. Okay, 5 more minutes. My eyes are watering.
Patricia, my darling. That's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Oh, Pat. Oh, Wowie.
You can't even understand what I'm saying.
Oh, please. No, I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But like I said, my Wowie was at the scene the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed. I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. Nothing to report. Nothing to report. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. That's a lie. No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the yard's honor, sir. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrideb household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Would it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of how the knife ended up in her bag and how the book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them.
Okay, so that's what I'm gonna react to.
Can I ask you something, please, Mr. Warrior, sir?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell.
What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's he doing?
Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable.
That's not what this is about.
You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am.
I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you.
No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard, and it will sound like this. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire.
Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one.
That was a very loud mutter.
I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't.
Duly noted, Mrs. Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to continue.
What could he possibly be about to say, I wonder?
This is... How much time is left? A minute? Oh my god.
I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though.
Request to dis.
Hold it!
Mrs. Beat, nobody is questioning what you've told us. I saw it, I did. That evening I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky. All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction. Oh yes, well, that's a little embarrassing really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Wooly. He gets ever so cross.
Excuse me.
Timer's done, I can laugh again! I can laugh! I can live! I can breathe. Constable Beat, is there a problem? It's funny because the Ruuuvo voice kind of gave me a break. Because, like, I'm not doing a lot of different voices. It's just very subtle, so... Thanks. No, sir. No problem, sir. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Well, subtle as in I'm not going like or that's what I meant. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Oh, well, in a way, sir, yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all.
You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident?
Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine, but she was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone a good 15. Oh, Rolly, you're such a tease. But the reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly.
The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about?
Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Rowley's so romantic. He saved up for it with farthings and halfpennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds.
Yes, how romantic.
I'd forgotten all about it until just now. Had you, my darling?
Oh, oh, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise.
Really? Oh.
That's weird. What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange. I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. But I'm quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet. Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to.
Right after her husband were like, don't talk about it.
She's like, oh, I'd love to gush about it. I would love to.
Surprised you only laughed once. I was really holding it in. There was a couple minutes I had to like calm down. And then I was zen. I did it. Glorious victory, or should I say glorious victory. But I hope y'all were laughing. That's what I want. Ruuuvo voice, the greatest weapon against voice acting. Truly. Gutter halfpennies, so romantic. What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while. I almost feel like I should go back through what I voiced in Ruuuvo because I was so distracted. But maybe I can figure out without doing it. I think this is where he said he might want to say something. So we might present to this. I left the scene to fetch help, but Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. Or it might have been that one. What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way.
Hold it!
Thank you for the clip, Panda. You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back, I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first.
And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on.
Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all.
The cop moved the body. Rolly moved it while she was gone! Oh my god. Hey, Steven, welcome! I'm having revelations about this case right now. Playing some great Ace Attorney, the 1800s. And I think this police officer moved a body at a crime scene. The jerk? Okay, so the bouquet... Rolly got his wife. Was dropped when she saw the body. When she left and came back, the bouquet was not near the body. And I think that's going to be proof that the body was moved by the cop. Wow. Once again, he's adorable, but chances are he did something. Yeah, I really believe that now. I think he did something. Also, thank you so much for that raid, Peanut Butter Beagle. Welcome in, Peanut Butter. I hope you had a wonderful stream. Can we get a shout out, please? Those sparkly eyeballs. I know they seem so innocent, but I know they are up to no good. I know they did something bad, something wrong. Ooh, I just finished this case the other day and loved it. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know how far I am into the case. I don't know how close I am to figuring it out. I'm having theories. I'm having theories for sure. But having a good time getting through it. Yeah, congrats on finishing it. My goodness. I see you were playing some Palia today though. I personally am obsessed with Palia right now. I've been playing it a bunch over the weekend whenever I have free time. I just want to keep playing. I want to keep playing it. Won't say anything. Glad you're enjoying it. Oh yeah. No worries. Peanut butter. I'm getting hungry now. Oh my god. Super obsessed too. I keep forgetting what my plan is. Oh my god. Yeah, Palia is such a good time. For anyone who wants to get into an MMO that isn't like a traditional MMO. I really love that aspect of it. Like, I never could get into MMOs that had like FF14, for instance. I know it's a great MMO, but I couldn't stick with it. But I like how, I guess, simple in a good way Palia is, where it's not overly complicated, and it's just like a nice way to kind of like chill out and like kind of like a farming sim, but with more added in. You can even romance NPCs and stuff like that. I was surprised by that. I'm still trying to romance Tamala. That's my goal. I'm still getting there. We'll see. And yeah, the fishing is really fun too. I like fulfilling all of like the gift requests people have and like giving presents and stuff. Nice to find MMOs that aren't too convoluted. Yeah, it's relaxing. It's a nice way to kind of like have a little video game escape, you know? Oh, you're trying to romance Einar. Who is Einar again? I'm still trying to get all the names down. Elia, Einar. Oh, yes, the fishing robot. My spouse, Ruuuvo, is actually going for the robot, too. Ruuuvo is also... Yeah. Oh my god. I'm so excited to see that romance line through Ruuvo's playthrough, because I'm romancing someone else, but I was curious how that would work, because I saw that he was a romanceable NPC. So I was like, oh, that'll be interesting to see. I appreciate his love of like fishing and worms and stuff. I think it's very cute. Haven't done anything yet, but he's my plan. Okay, nice. You'll have to let me know how it goes. I wonder if you guys just will talk about fishing and stuff, but it's very cute. But yeah, we're playing some Great Ace Attorney at the moment. I just realized that the character on the left, the cop, might have moved a body at the crime scene because he didn't want to deal with it, basically, and put it in another cop's jurisdiction, which is terrible. Alright, so the bouquet was nowhere near the victim's body at all. I'm surprised he's not acting nervous hearing that. In case you need reminding, Mrs. B, the victim is not deceased.
I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably. Okay, well... Unless, like, because the lady hadn't died, right? Unless she got hit by the knife, fell down, and then they see her, and then he falls asleep in the snow, and then while he's asleep, she gets up and goes across the street and then collapses again. Maybe. That's another possibility. But the fact that he said, don't talk about the bouquet, makes me think that he did something, so... I still think it's that, but that's another possibility. Good night, Arkham. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you later for all Ace Attorney all the time. This is all I'm playing right now. Wow, why did Patricia cross the street? To get to the other side. To commit murder! Maybe, I don't know, I still need to play this. I know, it's a lot, like... It's very complicated right now, but it's alright. Silly me, I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. Uh-huh, right.
Although, I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think how it got there, I really can't.
So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite. Curious indeed.
isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose Rolly bought me, with that change from the gutter he spent so long collecting.
Mm-hmm. By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry, solitary rose?
Oh. Oh, yes, that's it! That's the bouquet Rolly bought me for our anniversary, with old bits of change he found in the gutter.
Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us, Lord Van Zeeks, where did you come by the flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garrideb household. Exactly what I thought! In front of the Garrideb's house? Although it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Oh, and then that means that where the crime happened, there was no light either. Okay, and then the bouquet, which is really just a rose. Bouquet was dropped in the darkness. No street light. So maybe the crime happened in the dark too. Okay. Yeah, Santa Claus is the judge. Yeah, yep. In this game, he looks just like Santa. British Santa. According to my ancient scroll. Yeah. The street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case, since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare.
Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Could I have it back now, please?
No. I think for good measure, this rose should be added to the court record as evidence.
Oh.
The anniversary bouquet has been entered into the court record. A present for Patricia Beat from her husband Rolly. The shock of seeing the stabbed victim caused Mrs. Beat to drop the rose where she stood.
But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back.
Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Mrs. Beat. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. And I think that's a lie. The lie detector test said that was a lie. My stream buffered when you said exactly, so it sounded like you said egg when Van Zeeks confirmed your theory. Egg! Sexy Santa, oh my god. Santa judge, judging who's nice and who's naughty in the court of law. Lie detector says you are the father of the law. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene.
Hold it!
Nothing to report. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time, never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the yard's honor, sir. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrideb household. The question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? Something about this statement that's not sitting right. Okay, so no, this is what we need to react to. So... So the cop claims that the book was in the victim's hand when they arrived at the scene. Okay. Two mysteries of how the knife ended up in her back and how the book ended up in her hand. Must be some common thread. Yeah, we did see that already. What do you make of all this? The whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling me all along, but I believe I'm starting to get a picture of what really happened here now. The fourth book that had no business being at the scene of the crime made me sure that Mrs. Garrideb was hiding something from us, but it's becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us as well. I think I may already be armed with everything I need to strike a decisive blow here. This time, I'm going to expose the whole truth about this mysterious affair. Okay. I think I know what happened, but I need to find a way to prove it. And Ryu is reacting to the last statement the most. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment. Which is so weird, because even earlier they were saying that he was face down in the snow when she came back, so... What would I present to it, though? Lovely kimono. Oh, Susato's? It's very pretty. Maybe the bouquet? Because why would it be across the street? Let's look at it. I can't find anything out of place. Okay.
An English rose. It's such a beautiful flower.
This is a rose, is it? I've never seen one before.
You not take an interest in flowers, Mr. Naruhodo?
I wouldn't say that exactly, but I do know 3 types at least.
Gosh, 3?
Yes, plum blossom, peach blossom, and cherry blossom.
Perhaps you should consider branching out?
Ha 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 ha.
Learning some that aren't fruit tree based, for example?
Very fun. It's very stylish paper the flower's wrapped in, isn't it?
It's just an old newspaper, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, I suppose it's because I'm not used to seeing English print. It looks so exotic to me.
I see.
Something wrong?
Oh, no. I was just thinking that if you wrapped a stone-baked sweet potato in English paper, it might look like some sort of fancy cake.
Ah, Susato-san, you do love your cakes.
Of course.
Okay, I don't think there's anything significant here. Yeah, it's the same. Alright. They always take their eyes off the scene. Incompetence. Always. I guess let me save before I do anything silly. Alright, let me think this through a little bit. I'm pretty sure he has an issue with this statement, so I want to present to it. I think it's gonna be the rose. Then we have this one. Maybe the book or the rose? Let me try the rose.
Objection!
Yeah. Okay. You claim, Constable Beat, that there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be. It's not even awake.
What do you mean to say?
In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described, no doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Damn!
Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact?
No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rowley didn't mention it, I'm sure.
No. Because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garrideb's book. Mr. Garrideb's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out of the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here, on the west side of the street. And yet... it was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here, at the scene of the crime, on the east side of the street. But in fact... it was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them.
What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Wittering on about books and bouquets. Why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is.
Oh, good. Mrs. Garrideb's come round. Oh yeah, she was fainted, I forgot. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garrideb, but deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called,
tampering, Mr. Naruhodo.
But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering. You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person. The cop. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? Well, it's the cop or the maid, but everything's pointing to him, so...
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you. What? Policeman? A member of Scotland Yard?
What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband.
I know what she means, so I just...
No, Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. He would never even think of kissing a man. He would never even think of holding another man's hand. He's the straightest man I've ever known. He definitely never ever thinks of kissing his boyfriends.
What's wrong with that?
He's the best at being straight.
Mrs. Beat, I don't think your husband's orientation has anything to do with this case. Mrs. Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it.
Oh.
And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene.
Well...
Objection!
First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with, but there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime, to hide something.
That's right, he's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would we have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense.
Oh, but it does, Patricia! Patricia! You have offered no motive for this alleged tampering, and until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair.
Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering.
Oh, yes, I will. Oh, yes.
Well, there was that one time at Police Academy. Yes, my lord. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the book fell, where the bouquet fell, where the victim fell. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What?
Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
What? I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening? Right here! I hope that's on point.
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road.
I don't understand.
On the evening in question, Mr. Garrideb's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious! I wonder if we're about to wrap up the case.
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place.
That's right. I saw it with my own eyes.
It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print, the victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? What did he overlook?
The bouquet, I presume. Because it was in the dark. Exactly.
The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light.
Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond, Constable Rolly Beat? Is he just asleep? Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important?
Oh, Rolly! It isn't true, is it? What that lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know, and also the straightest.
I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out. Everything exposed. Only it seems it wasn't a dream at all. Good Good golly! Wake up, straight man! Order! Order! What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it?
He wanted a night off. He literally just wanted a day off. Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Yeah, she's not even dead. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town.
I can't say, sir.
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything.
I have a possible explanation. For why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Van Zeeks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. I appreciate that this lawyer appreciates Ryu. Just look at him, man. Just look at him. He's fallen asleep standing up. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan. It makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I think we're back. I'm sorry! I don't have control over this internet! We're back. We're back. Both times, the internet just, like, goes out for, like, 30 seconds and then comes right back. But then it takes my program a minute to come back, you know? I don't know. I don't know. The Wi-Fi hula. Hello. Thank y'all for being patient. I'm back. Alright, yes, we were just getting to a good part. Let me read chat real quick while we're here. I think we're almost done. I think this will be done soon. I appreciate that you appreciate that this judge appreciates Ryu. I appreciate that you appreciate that, I appreciate that this judge appreciates Ryu. It's always bothered me that he's just chewing on the helmet strap. Yeah, it took me a while to realize that. And I don't like it either. I don't. Alright, I was about to present the warrant card, and hopefully that's the answer.
Take that!
I think so. I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I have only just arrived from Japan. Which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord.
Oh, yes. It was our very first wedding anniversary.
Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal, when he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind?
But sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beat puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care.
This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Ah. Constable beat. Is that, or is that not, the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's all right. So, that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat.
Oh. Oh no!
Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious, that's a lot of beats! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done? Y'all aren't gonna have a wedding anniversary dinner for a while now. It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Oh my god! Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? He's also an unlucky person. Why? She's unlucky, he's unlucky, this whole street's unlucky. It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Meerschaum Street and then... Oh. I'm... Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Constable.
You want me to feel bad for him? I don't. I don't. He moved a body from the scene of the crime. I don't feel bad for him. He should have done his job. Take her out to dinner the next night, or whatever. Okay? Because an innocent man was gonna go to jail. I mean, I say body, but I know she's alive. But he moved this lady that got stabbed to the other side of the road so he could go to dinner. Yeah, you can have the anniversary another night. I mean, you know, just... He did the wrong thing, suffice to say. Just wanted to sleep and have dinner with his straight wife. We know he's straight. We don't know if she's straight. I think we've all learned a lesson tonight. Don't move people's bodies if they've been stabbed. Just leave them there. That's what he gets for chewing on his helmet. I just wanted... just that one night to take my Patricia out for dinner.
Oh, Rolly.
Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so, you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street, the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. See, he thought it was a dead body. I beg your pardon?
Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement.
Didn't check for a pulse? I see your meaning now.
But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why. That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Roly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Roly.
She didn't really do anything wrong. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from the one side of the road to the other in total?
Oh, 4 it was, yes, sir. Definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garrideb household, of course.
But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean.
Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it.
How you found it? What do you mean?
When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding?
Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir.
Interesting. Yeah, so I think literally what happened is this lady was walking. She sees this burning book flying out of the window, falls on the ground. She goes over and picks it up, and while she's bent over picking up the book, the knife is thrown, falls down, and stabs her right in the back. And then, of course, this couple comes along and he moves the body, and that messes it all up. A book entitled The Lion's Pride that was in the victim's hand when Mrs. Beat first ran over to see what had happened. She didn't actually do anything wrong, that's wild. Yeah, it was all him, and she's just saying what she thinks happened. This is kind of like super selfish, hard to feel bad, right? If only there was a way, if only there was this way to ask for a day off.
I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make it a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it.
My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zeeks? I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Roly? What will happen to him?
For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. I wonder if he's gonna die.
Please, don't punish my husband.
This was all my fault. Oh, whatever.
It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. All right then, my love.
One last thing, Constable.
Sir?
Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you.
Yes, sir.
Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime.
Huh? Never again, sir? You mean to say...
Leave now. This trial is not yet over. Okay, so it's not done. We're not done.
Yes, sir. Get out of here.
He certainly deserves to go to jail. Quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime.
Objection!
Still? No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back.
Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already.
Lord Van Zeeks, is this true? Very well. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. You will name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime. That would be the maid.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? Debbie. Her name's just Debbie now. My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrideb.
Me? Me? Oh, dearie me!
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garrideb, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrideb. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road.
Well, what of it?
You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident.
Yes, and as I said, what of it?
During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrideb. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back. Have you really never laid eyes on it before?
Ah!
Ah! That's Mr. Toad to you.
I don't recall it.
Seriously?
Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4.
Oh!
Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out.
But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know?
What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Mrs. Garrideb?
Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it.
Well, it would have been an accident, but still. Good night, Peanut Butter Beagle. Good night. Thanks so much for the raid earlier, and thanks for hanging out. I hope you get some good rest, and I hope we see you again soon sometime. Good night.
Poor woman. So yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo? If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror.
Oh!
The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks.
I'm going to have to testify?
Yeah, lady! Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware.
Oh, dearie me!
So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrideb, and mark my words, in this court of law today we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. Now this will probably be the last part of the case. So we'll probably finish this tomorrow. It's such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm covering the little Van Zeeks in the corner. Hold on. Look at him, he's so small. So little. Alright, but I'm here in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation. Okay. We're gonna stop it here, y'all. It's a good stopping point. We don't have much time left, and I am streaming this all week, so no need to rush. That is gonna be it. I was just waiting for a good moment to stop. Let me see if there's any notes I need to take real quick. Okay, so last thing we found out was the cop moved the scene of the crime, but overlooked the bouquet. We are now getting testimony from Mrs. Garrideb. Okay. Just had to make some notes for myself. Alright, let's go ahead and switch over here. An Ace Attorney song! Also, I hope y'all like my little, sprouts here. I think I showed this last week. Ruuuvo made me, I think this one? And then they made another one. So I just put them here. So I have two now. They're really cute. Sprouts. I like them. Been a good stream. Can't wait to see how this case ends and who the actual killer is. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the maid, Mrs. Garrideb. Of course, it'd be an accident, but... Oh, when you first saw them, you thought they were elf ears. They are pointy. They are pointy. Yeah, love them. Yeah, I think they're really cute. I noticed they look so cute. Thank you. Ruuuvo custom made them just for me. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna be it for me today, y'all. Like I said, I'm playing this all week, so I will be streaming this again tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and on Thursday and Friday as well. And hopefully my voice holds up with all this voice acting and silliness. But either way, I hope I'll see y'all tomorrow. No raid today, but I'll try to do raids throughout the week. I gotta skedaddle and go get some rest. But I appreciate y'all very, very much and excited for more Ace Attorney the rest of the week. I've missed y'all too. And I hope y'all have a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all later. There's my social media. I'm most active on Twitter and YouTube, and we also have a Discord. And no raid today. And of course. But yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Either way, I hope you'll have a great night, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!